What's up, everybody? This is Miss Alba or Christina Austin, whatever you want to call it. If it's any of those two, then I'm really happy. So, we are back again with African Focus with shorter stories, success stories to help you as you navigate your way in the business space, in the work environment. There are a lot of episodes that have not been showed on this channel, and it's pretty much time that it does. So, that's why I'm taking you back and I'm chiming in a few of new episodes, which take no longer than about 30 minutes to really talk about topics like how to attract funding, how to put your CV together, how to come up with an effective brand, how to start a private practice, how to grow from starting a small practice to something major better, all by and of course for our African people. So make sure that you come up to this channel, you subscribe, you come back every other Thursday. I highlight, a conversation to really help you on your way. Be great, be awesome. So catch you next time. Stay blessed. So here we are back again. I don't know if it's, afternoon or evening, wherever in the world that you are, but we've been on a slight pause in terms of Africa on Focus. We have like special seasons lined up and special episodes lined up, of which this is one of obviously. But there are special episodes that I'm taking you through, which I would say are like the good short ones, the conversations that will really help you and get you going in terms of business, whether that be on side hustle or whether that be on your full-time business. I just could not leave our show unattended, since we just had a pause on High Radio, which will come back, I'm really sure, but the conversation really has to be going. So that's why I'm introducing a good special series where in a brief moment, I talk to various entrepreneurs as they come from both the continent and the diaspora on the things that we really need to know. Times are tough, especially for our brothers and sisters in Ghana, even the Ivory Coast, and some of the viewers that we've had spoken to, your South Africa, and here on this side of the world, even in this white man's world, people would still say, tough times do come by here. So again, welcome on Africa on Focus. I am your host, Miss Alba, or should we say Augustina Austin. And before we really get into this conversation, I hope that you haven't forgotten to press the subscribe button, press the follow button if you are listening to us on our podcast platforms. Either way, please find a way to stay in tuned and touched, because there is more coming on in terms of our conversations. All right, so let's do this. Today on African Focus, we are joined by a dynamic and seasoned professional whose expertise spans finance, investment banking, agribusiness, youth entrepreneurship development, of which I'm specifically also very, very happy about. He currently serves as the or let's say agribusiness to entrepreneurship coordinator on the GEA MasterCard Foundation BizBuzz project. I'm sure you can Google that and find out all of that and more, helping to drive innovation and growth in the agriculture and entrepreneurship sectors across Africa. Such an amazing task. Topic of today, we're diving deep into how business can secure funding in challenging times, because yes, we are in that. With his wealth of experience, undoubtedly providing invaluable insights. Let me just welcome Nana Bedo here on so that we can get the conversation going. How are you, Nana?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Hi, Augustina. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. You're on the other side of the world, Ghana. How is Ghana at this moment?
Ghana is warm, but it's like you mentioned. It's some challenging times, but still, weather is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes up sometimes for the challenges, right? It still keeps you joyful,
Yep, yep, yep. And
and then
Ghanaians,
sure,
we can make
yeah.
we can make happiness out of the worst situations. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we're
Trust
like,
me, a lot of people around the world envy that.
right, right, right. It's a superpower. Yeah.
Good. So I'm sure, with all the expertise that you have and you're on so much, I mean, you're super busy. So really, let's get down into it
Right.
and get to talking. Well, you talked to us about, how Ghana is now, and can you talk to us more about, in your way of talking to us, how is the business, the ecosystem, the environment, the business space in Ghana at the moment, from your
Right,
view?
right. So Ghana's in a bit of recovery phase because post COVID, we've had really rocky times in terms of the economy.
Yeah,
So we've undergone some hyperinflation, with significant special mention to our currency devaluation, which
yeah,
to affect everything. So from 2020 onwards, we went from inflation figures of around what 9.9% through the roof to around the 40 percentage mark, and now we're back around 23%, right? So it affects everything, producer prices, consumer prices, and everything. So everybody's affected. So I'd
yeah,
say it's very challenging times for businesses, and that means that the financial institutions of the financial sector who ride off a good business environment are also facing challenging times. And so people are very careful about how they lend money. And when I say people, I'm talking about financial institutions. So yeah, it's a tricky period if you're raising funds as we are doing. Yes.
yeah. So could you give us an example, just for those who aren't, the best mathematicians, but still do business and do it quite well? Could you give us an idea of what impact does it have on, let's say, buying items, or some of the, significant changes that people feel?
Right. So um, somewhere in 2023 thereabout, let's say 2022 thereabout, you could get, if you had 700 CDs, you could get a, like $100, right? So if you extrapolate that, if you had 7,000 CDs, you could get $1,000, right? Right now, $1,000 is about 16,000, right? So that's like,
Mm,
in the space of 2 years, that's more than double what you would have had to
yeah,
pay for the same kind of stuff. And Ghana's economy is driven by a lot of imports, right? So that means a lot of the things that we import into the country, whether for consumption or for production,
hmm,
are affected by this. So, for example, we import a lot of agricultural produce from the Netherlands. So, for example, in poultry, most of our day-old chicks are coming from the Netherlands. So basically, you need twice as much currency as you had previously to buy the same number of day-old chicks, for example, if you're in the poultry sector, and that's just over a period of 2 weeks, 2 years, right? And that feeds into the hyperinflation that I was speaking about. So just because of that, everything else has moved up, and so um, every sector of the economy has felt the pinch. So I think in terms of numbers, yeah, twice as much cost as it was maybe 2 years before. So
yeah.
that's how serious it is. Yeah.
Sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, it is.
So, but people still do business. I
No,
think
you've got, yeah.
that's amazing, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, it shows the resilience of the Ghanaian businessman,
Mhm.
and I'm even more prouder of the fact that people have kept on and found a way to innovate, and we're moving on. So it means that the financial industry, for example, has been forced to um, rethink how they appraise loans, how they give loans,
Yeah.
even dealing with non-performing loans, because a lot of those loan books would have suffered. And also on the financial institution side, government actually had to renegotiate payment of treasury, some of the government notes that were maturing, and so some institutional investors, like the financial institutions, had to take a haircut on the money that they were owed And so, like I'm saying, a lot of things have changed. People have been
Yeah.
forced to innovate, and survival. Those who survive, I mean, that's a good thing because it changes your whole approach on business and your business
Yeah.
model and all that. So it's been challenging, but it's forced a lot of innovation on us.
Yeah. So within this time, because that is really what we're talking about, a lot of people, and I think you would recognize it when it comes to business. If you ask an entrepreneur, what do you need? Most of the time they answer money of,
Yeah.
of, of all the resources that they are around. So talking about, business, and even though in these resilient times, if you ask a lot of entrepreneurs, what do you need? They would say, money. So a lot of people, think they need money or know they need money in some way. So, speaking of this time that we are in, attracting funding does come to play for a lot of business that want to scale up. You know, how does that look like in this time? Getting business, for an African company in
Mhm.
this specific environment. What is your observation on that?
So I think, um, like I said, we've been forced to innovate, right? So in terms of getting business for getting money for your business, I think one of the things that we were not looking at previously is what are you going to use the money for. So if
Mm,
it's some good or some service, then it's not actually money you need, but it's
yeah,
actually a service, right? So is there a way to get that service without money or for something else? And so it's forced a lot of us to look at other types of financing aside the traditional debts where I mean, you just go get a loan from the bank and then you could, especially loans which are dollar denominated, right?
yeah,
Exactly. So a lot more emphasis right now is on trying to mop up local currency investments rather than foreign investments because of the depreciation of the foreign currency, right? So again, some math. If you had a loan where you were paying $100 a month 2 years ago, that would be
yeah.
700 CDs a month. But right now, that same $100, you'd have to pay 1,600 CDs a month, right? So if you
Wow.
had a loan which is dollar denominated and you're earning Ghana CDs, then you're in a bit of a lurch, right? So I think the emphasis and all upcoming funds are looking at how they can rope in more local investments.
Right.
Also, our pension funds have also had to respond.
Hmm.
And, again, even on the local front, because government defaulted and they're being advised and encouraged to invest less in government treasury and government notes, they're also looking for pension funds are for the first time in a long time looking for alternative investments to put their money in.
Yeah.
So yes, I think on that front, if you're a business looking for capital, suddenly the playing field is a little different, right? You have to be careful if you want to still raise money from foreign sources or foreign denominated currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the inflationary movements of the currency. But at the same time, too, those are one of the best options that we have, right? And for a long time, businesses have been trying to unlock the investment potential of Ghanaians in the diaspora. Right? So I think that conversation still goes on, but these days we are a little bit careful on how we approach it and how we designate it.
Yeah. So speaking of diaspora, I think diaspora is like an ongoing conversation, especially these last 10 years, I think.
Has been,
So,
yes. Uh-huh.
yeah. So, what is, according to you, the role of the diaspora when it comes to, business in Africa? I'm just going to say Africa as a whole
Yeah.
because we don't have the same needs, but, you know, the growth of one will also impact the other in some
Yeah.
way. What is the role of the diaspora according to you?
No, the diaspora plays a very big role in foreign direct investments into um, the African continent, right? Um, there's billions of remittances that come into each most of our sub-Saharan African countries from relatives abroad for all kinds of reasons, right? And so, yes, that diasporan money in terms of um, remittances has been it's been growing for a long time. The conversation switched from remittances for just social reasons to remittances for investment reasons, right? So, if you're a diasporan and you have cash of say $10,000 in your account, I know it's a lot of money, right? And for some people in the diaspora, it might be difficult to save up that much, or must have been difficult to save up that much. But for some too, it may not have been. And the type of investments that you're able to do, say in the US or in Western Europe and all that, I think most attractive ones would be a small business or stocks and the kind, right?
Yeah.
But that same 10,000 USD, it's like 160,000, which is good
Hmm.
working capital money for some very impactful aggregation or trade activity, right?
Hmm.
And still is able to earn a reasonable return, right? So instead of looking at the conversation on just the social value of bringing money home, it's also important to see how much investments that we can garner from the diasporan community into Ghana because it's significant. We're remitting billions of dollars to the continent every year, and the continent does need that much in terms of capital, right? So if it's
Yeah.
possible that our brothers and sisters have that surplus investment that would have only gone into say government treasuries or stocks, and you could invest that same amount and get some significant returns plus a huge impact in terms of empowerment, poverty alleviation, inclusion, and all of that. I think then it's that tips the scale, right? Because you're getting the same in returns, but
Yeah.
you're also changing a lot of lives, right? So for me, I think that's the story. And
Hmm.
because you're linked by blood to this community, I feel that the aspirants um, probably have they should feel impact stories more closely than say the rest of the foreign investor community who are looking at
Yeah.
impact investments.
Yeah. So speaking of that, New Africa Impact Fund,
Yeah.
which is actually a Dutch-based company which you are a part of.
Yes.
So what this actually tells me is that it's no longer, a conversation or, a bit of remittance or maybe something program, but it's really now a certified business being on
Yeah. Yeah.
mainland Europe, really ready to connect with the diaspora. Could you
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about that? Why now? Why is it so important? And how were you and your team, because you have a whole team, Eric Say, and all of those, able
Right.
to take that risk to say, you know what, we're really gonna fund or start a company that is driven around that diaspora focus in the Netherlands.
So at one point we just decided to just stop talking and do. Basically, that's what it is. So for a long time, myself and Eric and Kwabna and Kwabna's brother actually, we've been in this space for a long time, and we've constantly, like lots of people in the investment banking space in Ghana, have
Yeah.
spoken about the power of the diaspora in solving some of the SME funding shortfalls that we have, right? And
Yeah.
so we set out to start a fund primarily that would help to address this gap that SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa have, starting with Ghana, because obviously we're based here.
Yeah.
So we set up a team. Of course, Kwabena was based in the Netherlands, and through that journey, we noticed that there's quite a bit of information asymmetry between
Yeah.
people in the diaspora and then the context in sub-Saharan Africa, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are interested in the conversation because when we did bring it up and when we did set up, we had lots of inquiries, we've got lots of invitations to speak here and there. But it looks like there's some bit of knowledge and analysis required for people to actually understand what's going on this side of the world, and then decide on what their options are, what based on their interests, their
Yeah.
abilities, and then make that decision to make an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're busy trying to set up the SME Working Capital Fund, we're also offering advisory services to diasporans who want to invest generally in Africa, right? So not just in our fund, right? But if, like we're saying, instead of doing a social remittance, if you want to make an investment in Africa, we're set up to help do the analysis and run the numbers that help you
Mm-hmm.
make that decision, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of the primary things that we are doing in the Netherlands. And of course, here in Ghana as well, we do offer similar advisory services to SMEs to help them to grow, to overcome some risks and those things. So we're working on a couple of technical assistance programs with GIZ, and I'm working on a Mastercard Foundation sponsored project as well, the Business in a Box project. So
Yeah.
yeah, while that conversation around the fund is going on, we're also very active in offering advice to SMEs and also to potential investors on the other side of the world who want to put money in Africa.
Yeah. All right. All right. So just in between, we might surprise you, but we always have like these random quiz questions around just to get, your thoughts on a few interesting topics. So I'm just
Bring it
gonna
up.
like ask three questions that are multiple choice just to hear your thoughts on it and to get an idea on, okay, from your perspective and from your point, working in the landscape, venturing now in business that is now, you know, giving advisory to the diaspora, really bringing about a link and a connection that, yeah, a lot of people would like really aim to, facilitate or bring together. So you're really making strides that, a lot of people are proud of. So here it goes. First question is, according to you, what would suit you more, agribusiness or tech?
Hmm, 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 hmm. I'd say agribusiness
Why?
because I think you know agribusiness is like a whole broad animal in itself, right? And even though I say agribusiness, tech can drive that a lot in different levels of the agribusiness value chain. So rather than look at tech as a standalone, I'd say agribusiness because it has the power to transform multiple lives,
Mm-hmm.
support multiple industries, and also onboard tech. Right. So
Right.
I'd go for agribusiness. Yeah.
Go
Plus,
for
also
it.
I'm biased towards agriculture. So yeah,
Got it. Got it.
there's that.
Got it. Okay. Working remote or on location?
Hmm. Remote. Remote.
Remote. Why is
Yeah.
that?
So I like working under pressure,
Okay.
but when I'm under pressure, I think I like to be in a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's difficult to concentrate when you have everybody else around you. I think working remote affords you the opportunity to sit in an atmosphere that you can create for yourself, or which is a lot laid back. And I find that myself and a lot more people are productive um, in this scenario. So yeah, I actually prefer remote to on site. Yeah.
Right. Working in Ghana or another African country? And if it's another African country, which one?
Okay, so I'm sorry, Ghana, but I think I'd be thrilled if I could get to work, let's say in Kenya. I've been there a couple of times, and first of all, the weather's great. The people are awesome, and I think that there's like Ghana, there's
Yeah.
a lot of value that's yet to be unearthed. Although they're like in the top 10 biggest economies in Africa, I feel that there's a lot. I think there's a lot more that can be done in Kenya, just as in Ghana. Right? So if I'm not going to get the opportunity to do it in Ghana, I might as well do it in Kenya. Plus the opportunity to work in a different sub-region, learn new cultures. I love the food there. The beer there is great.
The
Very
beer. All right.
sweet. Yeah, 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 yeah. Tusker beer. It's not bad at all. You should try it.
I'm not a
uh,
beer drinker, but I will recommend it to the beer drinkers I know.
right. Yeah, I think there's great potential in a lot of the value chains they have there, and
Mhm.
um, a lot of rest of the continent focused activity can be
Yeah.
born in Kenya, right? Especially in financial services, if you ask me. Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know.
Right.
In your experience, because I know that the NAIF provides consulting, and you as a team, you give detailed. Your expertise is just amazing. Could you give us like a brief idea on like key strategies in these times to attract funding, and that goes from the diaspora, perspective.
Right. So, if I get you key tips to
The str-
find
yeah,
funding in the diaspora,
yeah,
right? So, first of all, you have to be thorough with your offering. So these aren't the times where people are willing to wing it. Like these days, money's hard to come by, which means that it's hard to part with as well. So
yeah,
if you're looking to raise money in the diaspora, you have to be thorough with your proposal. Your numbers have to be on point. You should be able to defend it very logically and all that. Also, you should be able to preempt the risks and put in mitigation measures so that it doesn't come up before you react, right? And all the time, I think you should be prepared to have a good exit strategy for investors, right? So, in Ghana, our stock exchange is not as liquid as it is in the rest of the world. So public offerings it works, but it's not a very popular choice, and so there has to be some engineered exit for whichever investor that is putting money in your business, albeit whether it's a loan or it's equity. Right? There has to be a clear exit point for the investor. I think these three are key. Yeah.
I see. Okay, that is quite interesting because normally or traditionally people are looking at loans, and or that's all they know, that's all they heard of, and sometimes people put all of their energy into that, equity funding. Would you say that people are supposed to look more broad and find information as to look at more options?
Yeah, I'd say that. Like I said, we've had to be very innovative with the way we do business since 2020 onwards. And so
Yeah,
the traditional loan, I think it still works, but because of the nature of cash flows for different kinds of businesses, and also especially for SMEs, you do not want to burden yourself with a lot of principal and interest responsibilities before your business is able to take off. So there needs to be some engineering in the type of funding that you receive. But at
yeah,
the same time, too, there has to be an assurance that it gets paid. So that's why I'm talking about being innovative and providing a clear exit point for investors. Right?
mm,
So I think the traditional loan, traditional equity, these days we're having to marry the two and do lots of quasi debt or quasi equity type of instruments. Yeah.
Got it. And last but not least, what are like the common mistakes that entrepreneurs seem to make, when it comes to this funding topic?
Yes. So I think most people are unprepared for the fundraising journey, right? So they go on feelings. Like you have a strong feeling, you have a strong um, gut that this business idea will work, right? So you put together, sort of concepts, your thoughts, do some
Yeah.
numbers around it, but it's not enough. People who are going to put money in your business will also do some deep dives into what you're presenting, and so
Yeah.
you need to be able to preempt what that journey is like and be able to prepare adequately. So you have to get ownership right, you have to get legal rights, you have to get all these agreements, people in the right places. It's not as simple and straightforward as it was before. The team has to be on point, has to be able to address all the technical needs of the business that you're running, and you cannot say I'll find this after I get the money, or I'll solve this problem after I get the money. No, I think those risks are are
Yeah.
not tolerable anymore, right? So
Yeah.
lots of work has to go into the presentation and the proposal you're offering before you go to market, right?
Got it.
I'd say extremely adequate preparation is key, and be prepared to go on a long busting journey. Yeah.
So if we're talking about long, how long are we talking about?
Anywhere from 3 months to 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
think that's at the 3 year point. If you haven't found any funding, it means you have to pivot and look at your offering very critically. Right.
got it. So, any last tips? Any last tip? I think you touched on it already, but I know that NAIF can be found. We're also going to share the information and, of course, some of the resources, which involves the latest book, funding options for businesses,
Right.
that was brought out. I'm going to share that one in a bit as well. Any last tips, and how can people find you?
Well, for me, I think if you're a business looking for funding in Ghana or outside of Ghana, it's important to do your homework, like I've been saying. Um, it also helps you to look professional, but be thorough and be prepared to put in the extra shift. And if you're in the diaspora looking to invest in Africa, again, then on the same level, it's important to get some good homework done.
Hmm.
And you have to be a little bit patient, especially in the beginning, and try and map out your exits right before, even before you put the money in, right? So I think
Hmm.
if you do that, then you can manage your expectations quite well. But at the end of the day, investing in sub-Saharan Africa does pay in terms of economic return, but
Yeah.
most importantly, also there's a lot of good social impact to be made. So yeah, that's important as well.
Mm, on that note, well, New Africa Impact Fund, you're going to get all of the details in a bit, will be written over this video. Thank you so much, Nana Baidu, for your time. I know it's probably been a hectic day for you, so I'm
Yeah,
not going to hold you up too much. And let's follow up for next time. Dive a bit more into the actual things that are available now in terms of access and funding. Also, for the next conversation, maybe to highlight which of the particular industries are really, really good,
right,
for Africa at the moment. I think that also counts.
right,
And also for those, because a lot of people in diaspora have, some kind of link with agribusiness, or they have a plot of land, for them, it's also good to understand, does this have potential to start, to scale, and to grow? So
Right.
I think on next, we should definitely touch on that. Thank you very much, Nana. And
Thank you.
then
Yes.
we will be keeping in touch.
All right. All right. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Africa Unfocus. This is Africa Unfocus. Yes, it's coming back bi-weekly. You're gonna hear us, especially in your podcasting platforms and on our usual YouTube channel, as we prepare for actually our even very next season, because we're starting to prepare to record for that. I have the short and brief conversations that I have. Really focusing on success stories, how to really tap into success in these times that we are in terms of business. Make sure that you follow us. Again, we are very much visible on your Facebook, on your Instagram. Of course, you can follow myself as well, Augustina Austin, or you can find me as ms.aba. Let me share one thing, because I need to make sure that I share, because I have my very own copy. Hold on. Here it is. Funding options for businesses. It's a really, really concise and good brief book, which is a wonderful resource, which is provided by a New Africa Impact Fund. And what it is to provide you an alternative ways, long-term financing for SMEs to promote business scalability, job creation, and wealth. Whether that be from Ghana, Rwanda, Ivory Coast, or anywhere of that, make sure that you grab a copy, which is available on bold.com, Boekhandel, all of your Dutch, book platforms that you can get your copy of. I'll be sharing the link, of course, so that you can spread it around, because it's really, 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 really good. If you're in Africa or even interested in the market to invest in, and of course for scaling up, for growing, and how to navigate and how to find it, to make sure that you don't get lost in all of those funding options, because there are so many, and too many can be confusing to a lot. All right. So I'm your host, Miss Abba. I'll be catching you up for the next conversation, which is going to be very, very exciting. I have a very entrepreneur who is really making his mark, especially in Ghana at the moment, who is really leading and coaching and guiding entrepreneurs as it relates to the way they think and the way they pursue business and all of that. And this is actually a conversation that happened. Yes, I know it's bad. We had to talk like about a year ago, but it's soon to air. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. All right. So on to the next episode. Stay blessed, stay fab, and catch you next time.